Boom, 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 boom. 20 bucks. 20 bucks. We're on the line for 20 bucks. They keep on playing, but nobody's paying. No dance and littles and some dine. Boom, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Hi, Jabor. Jabor from Montreal. And welcome. And Maggie, Mrs. Calabash. Come into my kitchen. It's a gorgeous sunny day today. Yay. Have we seen the end of winter? Maybe I shouldn't say that. But fingers crossed. Nobody's looking. Fingers crossed. Today, I've just washed my hands because I'm going to be using them in the breadcrumbs. I'm going to make some Swedish meatballs with a cauliflower risotto. Now, for the meatballs, I suggest that you use panko, the Japanese panko breadcrumbs, the softer than the normal breadcrumbs, or if you like me, you have stale bread hanging around. I just use the food processor, and I process the breadcrumbs, and I always have some in the fridge, in the freezer, and then I've got them. Some ground beef. This is where the hand washing comes in. I've got some extra breadcrumbs there, just in case I make them too wet. You never know. These recipes, you know, they're a guideline. Now, I've chopped everything up very, very finely for the meatballs, because I want them to cook, and I want it to cook quickly. So we've got some onion there, all nicely chopped up. A little parsley with some allspice. Let's just mix it together. The allspice adds a nice flavour to it. This time of the year, I tend not to use fresh parsley. I don't have my parsley I brought in and it died. So I'm going to season this a little bit. And so I use dried parsley. Just remember, if you're using dried parsley to fresh parsley, if it's a tablespoonful of fresh parsley, that's 50. It's 1.5 teaspoons of dried parsley. A little egg. Now, I'm making half mixture, so I'm supposed to be using half an egg. But these eggs are only small, the medium. So when we're cooking, we're normally using a large egg. But if you're doing any catering and high class, what we call haute cuisine, we don't actually use egg by an egg. We use egg by weight, and an egg normally weighs about 2 ounces. I can't convert that for you into milligrams, but that's roughly what we do. Now you see, this is just together like that. So we want to make some meatballs. Actually, I'm just going to rinse my hands because it's easier if your hands are a little bit moist for this. A plate. There we are. Let's just put these on a plate. I don't know how big you like your meatballs. Personally, I'm not enamoured with huge meatballs. I like smaller ones. We'll just do a few just to keep us so we've got some to put in. I know Derek went out once and we went to a restaurant and they gave him a huge, what was it? Was it one meatball, Derek? Or
one meatball as big as my fist.
A big meatball, and he was immediately turned off. His stomach went, and we took it home for the dogs.
And it was in a bowl.
It was
and you couldn't chop it up. There was no room.
Yeah, it was in a bowl on some pasta, and he couldn't chop it up. There was no room, so the dogs ate it. It was a shame, but so a lot of it is personal taste. So you see, it doesn't take long to make. I'll go to put this on one side, and I will finish those meatballs off after the show. But just to give you an idea. So I'm actually making half the quantity of meatballs, but I must confess, I'm doing the full quantity of sauce because I like the sauce over the meatballs. So come on, let's go back. I'm just going to rinse my hands again. I've got the pasta cooking. I've got pasta cooking. We'll just check it. I want the pasta to be ready. And let's go back. Come on, back over here. Take the meatball recipe with me. So I've got in here just a little oil and butter, just together. It adds a nice flavour. Let's just, whilst that's heating up, just let me check the pasta. It's just cooking slowly. Woohoo! It's hot. Not quite there. Let's just put the meatballs in. I'm going to rinse this plate. I will dry it because I want to keep the meatballs warm whilst I make the sauce. So I'll put them in my little toasty oven. There we are. Whoa, look at that. That was tipping over. That's cream. Now, today I'm serving the meatballs over pasta, over noodles. But I also like the meatballs. I'm very fond of them with mashed potatoes, especially with this sauce. I like noodles and pasta, but not to the extent that Derek likes it. So I tend to, I suppose it's the English in me. I tend to like mashed potatoes. I've got some Irish in me as well, and that certainly is about the mashed potatoes. So we're just browning these. Oh, it gets a bit warm. There we are. It's so nice today to be able to turn down the heating. It really is. And we've actually got the bedroom windows open. Beautiful. Just let some fresh air in. There we are. Now for this, I chopped the mushrooms so finely because I want the flavour to come out. What I've done is, look, I've chopped some really, really finely and then sliced the other mushrooms like that, so that because I want the flavour to come out in the sauce. So look, you see the browning, because I just want to brown the outside, and then these are going into the toasty oven because they're all going back into the sauce to cook. So let's just turn that off. Toasty oven on to warm. Let's just put it on there. there and on. There we are. So these can go into the oven like that. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep some of this fat because it's got flavour in it, there's oil. I'm not going to add as much butter to make the sauce. I'm just going to add a little butter to make the sauce, because then we've got the flavour of the meatballs in there. You just need to build up the layers of flavour. We can always add a little more butter if need be. So let's cook the mushrooms. They don't take long to cook, especially when they're finely chopped like that and all the flavour comes out. We will just add a little more butter to that. There we are. As I say, we've got beef stock and 35% cream. I use a 35% cream, and then should you bring it up to the boil, it won't separate. There, the mushrooms are cooked. Flour, I've got a little extra flour up there in case it's not quite thick enough when we've made the sauce. We can always add a little more. This is called making the roux, and you can see it all pulls together, and we want to cook the starch out of the flour. That's why we're letting it cook for a minute or two, and by doing that the starch grains burst and that thickens the sauce. Excuse me, I dropped a towel. There we are. Now, a little beef stock. Let's just keep adding this. We want to make sure. Let's turn up the heat. Don't worry if it goes a bit lumpy at this stage. It will. As you add more liquid and the flour cooks, the lumps will go. There we are. And we'll season this a little bit. Just whisk it like that. A little more. We can always add a little more stock if we need it. Now I've got a little mustard, Dijon mustard and soy sauce there to add some flavour. Whisk that in. And we're going to add the cream. So that's a nice rich sauce. I'm going to turn the heat down low. I'm going back to the table because the butcher block, because I left my seasoning over there and I want to season it at this stage. So come back with me. There we are. Before we add any, we're going to taste it. It's nice, but it definitely needs some seasoning. Let's just take these away. This is Mrs. Calabash seasoning, 3 salt to 1 pepper. There we are. That's nice. It's nice and creamy. So let's turn the oven off. Take out the meatballs, and we're going to add the meatballs back to that. Ooh, that plate's on. There we are. So I'm going to move those onto the back burner, turn it down, and just let the meatballs simmer in the gravy. There we are. So now, we're going to do the cauliflower risotto. This can be, it can be eaten as a side, which we're doing it today, or as a main dish with a salad. It's you know, one of those either or dishes. So I've just got a little oil in here. We won't heat it up because we've got to go back to the butcher block and pulse down some cauliflower, so come with me. Oh, now this is called rice cauliflower, and that's what it looks like when it's been riced. You can use fresh cauliflower for this, like I'm doing. You can buy fresh cauliflower already riced, and you can buy frozen rice cauliflower. If you're using frozen, don't thaw, don't defrost. Just watch the prices, because fresh cauliflower, if the weather's been bad, can be expensive, and it's cheaper to buy frozen cauliflower. When I went shopping to buy these cauliflowers, a lovely head of cauliflower was only $1.88, where if I bought it already riced, fresh cauliflower riced, it was nearly $4. So you see, there's the difference. But it's just a matter of personal taste. So I put this on pulse when I'm doing this so that I can keep an eye on it. So it's going to make a noise, just bear with me. There we are. That's all it takes. So if you've got a food processor, it's not difficult. So I'm going to put it in one big bowl. And this is just, all this is just from one head of cauliflower. And you can use this as a base of the rice cauliflower. You can use it as a base for rice. If you tried to cut down on carbohydrates and you don't want to eat rice, substitute some rice cauliflower. It's great. So let's go back to the stove, back to the Casbah. There we are. Come back with me. So let's just heat this oil up a little bit, and we'll just make sure that we've got everything. I've got chopped parsley over there, cheese. This is a mixture of Parmesan and cheddar, all grated together. Cauliflower, mushrooms. Look, the mushrooms have been sliced like that, and I'm just going to add the mushrooms. Let me just put one in. Not quite hot enough. Not quite hot enough. They don't take long to cook. So we've got mushrooms. Again, chopped finely, garlic and onion. White wine and chicken stock. I like the white wine in there. And a little seasoning to taste. So, we're organised, or I think we are. So, let's add the mushrooms. I'm making a full quota of this because I like it and it will keep. And I freeze it, quite honestly. And bring out a little when I need it. Have I got the salt and pepper? Yes. Come on. I'm going to add, look, I had some butter left over from the other dish, from the meatballs, so I'm going to add a little butter to it. Adds a nice flavour. But if you're watching your carbohydrates, go with an oil. There's something, you see, butter is a fat, and fat, as I've always said before, a flavour enhancer. So fat, sugar and salt are your flavour enhancers. There we are. Let's have a look. Oh, there. I need to just turn those down to low. I've switched off the pasta. I'm going to add the onions now and the garlic. All nicely, very, very finely chopped so that it all cooks nice and quickly together. Oh, the smell is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Ah. Oh. There we are. That's done. I'm going to add the cauliflower. Clock. Turn down the heat so that you can actually get the heat distributed around the cauliflower. As I say, it doesn't take long to cook at this stage because it's very, very fine. There we are. Turn the heat up now. Just keep mixing it. I'm going to taste that just to see how you don't want to overcook the cauliflower. So let me just taste that. It does two things. I can taste to see if it needs any seasoning, and I can taste to see how well it's being cooked. Two things. It needs some more cooking and it needs some more seasoning. So I'm going to add the wine and the stock. It's got a beautiful flavour. A little, whoops, clonk. A little seasoning. And let me just taste that again. It should be almost there. So you see, it doesn't take long to cook. I'm going to add a drop more water to that. It seems a bit dry. There we are. I could have added more wine, but I've got to go over into the cupboard to add that. Turn that low. And now, when it's reached this stage, we can turn off the heat, and I've got the cheese. Don't have the cheese on over the heat because it will go hard. You're just wanting to melt the cheese. You're not cooking the cheese, you're just melting the cheese in there, like that. Let me go over and get the parsley. Boom, boom, boom. Look, just a little parsley to give it some colour. And that is cooked. So what we'll do, we'll just put its lid on whilst we're dishing up. The pasta is cooked. I'm not going to rinse the pasta today because I've got curly pasta and it's curled so that the sauce sticks to it, and I'm not going to rinse the starch off the pasta because I want the sauce to cling to it. There we are. Just shake the pasta well, put it back over the pan, take the pan over to the butcher block, boom, dee-dee-dee. Stand it on that. Serving dish, what are we going to use? Let's use my favourite. Pour the pasta into there, put the pasta on another pan stand. There we are. The meatballs will be cooked. As I say, I'm going to cook the rest of the meatballs after. So we just put the meatballs over the top. You may wonder what the little elephant's doing. It's Derek's lucky elephant. He's got to go in for, we're not sure when, I mean it could be 6 months' time, a very serious operation on his back. And so that's his lucky elephant that he's going to take with him. There we are, meatballs. Lovely. There's the meatballs, and we go out with jabor, paying $20, and there's the risotto. Oh, then some nickels and some dimes, and that is a meal for a king. So please go to Mrs. Calabash Cooks